Hello, everybody, and welcome to, it's a talky video on the second channel here. I have been thinking a lot about Star Wars, and honestly, it's something I am super into. Like, I am just really into Star Wars, and the Star Wars Celebration just ended. I thought, you know what the heck, let's go over here on the second channel and just talk about some Star Wars. This is stuff that, like, probably wouldn't fit in, like, a regular video, but why not? Why not do it over here? So while I'm shearing these leaves, by the way, this theme park is just coming along amazingly well. There's a castle just over there. I can't really have my render distance up very much right now because I am rendering a lore compilation video right now, so my computer's chugging just a little bit. But I thought for a talkie video, and we're just shearing sheep, we could probably handle it. I could even turn on shaders, but I won't do it because it looks so beautiful. Anyway, so at Star Wars Celebration, they finally announced 3 new movies, and there's one that, because I follow a lot of these Star Wars channels on YouTube, like Star Wars Theory and Star Wars Explained and Stupendous Wave and a whole bunch of other ones. You know, I just love the whole Star Wars thing. I love the lore. I love the movie news. I love all of it, like Mando, Bad Batch, Clone Wars, Rebel. I've been rewatching Rebels because I don't remember the ending. I know what happens in the end because I've seen like videos and stuff, but I don't remember actually watching it. So checking that out again. And I just thought, like, one of the movies I want to discuss a little bit. And if you're into Star Wars, then I guess that's why you probably clicked on this video. And if you're not, well, enjoy the sheep shearing. So, okay, so the 3 new movies, rather, that they announced at Star Wars Celebration are, one is like The First Jedi, which is going to go way back to the beginning days and sort of explain how the Jedi came into being, Force users and all that kind of stuff. That's interesting. Not something I'm incredibly interested in myself. I bet the movie's going to be good. It's James Mangold, after all, who did Logan, who were one of the great superhero movies ever. So that'll be cool. I don't have a lot of feelings on that either way. Probably not a choice I would have made myself because I would rather sort of go forward in time. Then another one is something that's going to be real interesting. I'm kind of going back. The James Mangold First Jedi movie, that's going to be like in 6 years. And in 4 years is going to be the Mando movie. That's going to be sort of the culmination of the whole Mandoverse and Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew and all that stuff, because those are all happening in the same timeline, which is like 5 to 8, 9 years after Return of the Jedi, when the Empire is basically Imperial remnants. Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn, which, by the way, I'm listening to one of the new 2 Thrawn trilogies for the new canon here just over the last hour or so, and it's been really, really, really fun. So I'm fully engaged in like Thrawn mode. That's going to be great. But so Dave Filoni, who is basically George Lucas's disciple, is going to be producing and directing and writing, I think, the Thrawn heir to the Empire story, which is going to be great. It's going to be the culmination of the Mandoverse, and maybe Mando will continue after that. I don't know. But it'll be basically the whole Thrawn storyline. I think it'll be really, really great. I'd love to see a trilogy, but I'd be happy with just one really good movie. So that'll be cool. Then the last movie, well, actually the first movie to come out, which is supposed to come out in 2 years, and that seems insane given that they don't have a script yet, but is going to be the Rey movie. It's supposed to take place 15 years after The Rise of Skywalker. And The Rise of Skywalker is a very controversial movie. I thought it was incredibly bad. But I also hated The Last Jedi. By the way, just full disclosure, I remove effect. When I come back from the end, I have brightness for 5 minutes, and I wanted to record a clip, and I didn't want to record it with brightness on, so that's why I removed effect. Just so y'all, if you say that, you're like, hey, wait a second. Yeah, it's because in the end, I have a command block that gives me night vision, and I get night vision for YouTube purposes because the end is really, really hard on YouTube without night vision. So I just have a command block that gives night vision just so y'all can see what's going on. Anyway, so that's why that was there. So there's going to be a Rey movie, and it's going to be about Rey, who I think Rey was potentially really good and just wasted by a lack of plan and lack of direction in the trilogy. I mean, I've talked about before on live streams quite a bit. Like, I cannot believe that Disney paid billions of dollars for Star Wars, started a new trilogy with literally no plan. Different directors, okay, I can live with different directors, but no plan, no sketch for the trilogy. That is not a trilogy. It's just 3 rando movies. So what happened was 7 was quite good, The Force Awakens. I think it would really set up just a good way forward for Star Wars. Sort of very soft reboot sort of thing. All the characters were still there, all that kind of stuff. Han had a compelling and a good death, though it was ruined in the next couple movies. Left with a great cliffhanger with Luke and all that stuff. Then Last Jedi came in and they're like, yeah, Rian Johnson, not your fault, because he made a good movie. His movie is good. The Last Jedi is a good movie. It's just a really bad second part of a trilogy based on what happened in the previous movie and the previous 6 movies before that. So I don't blame him. I guess Kathleen Kennedy to put a person to it, but I blame the executives at Disney or at Lucasfilm for saying, yeah, do whatever you want. It doesn't matter, because it totally matters. So 8 was a horrible entry in the franchise, although it in itself was a fine movie, you know? I think that 8 just like did things that Rian Johnson found interesting, and they let that happen, including like killing Snoke, and then including, sorry, spoilers for a 10-year-old movie now, but including killing Luke, including Luke being a weirdo hermit that disconnected from the Force and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff could have been, I guess, okay, but then what happened was everyone hated it. Everyone said, that's not my Luke Skywalker, right? And I said that too, because I thought this is not what the Luke that I imagined, because I read a lot of the expanded universe, which was thrown out when Disney bought it, and that's fine. They can do their own canon, I get that. But I was a big fan of that, and then whenever that happened, I thought, this is not the Luke that I read about in the expanded universe at all, and then he died, so there's no even sort of coming back from it. Now, I think they could come back from it, and I'll explain that in just a minute, because I have some thoughts about how to sort of fix that. Yeah, some of the people, Star Wars Theory, who's a channel I watch frequently, had a big thing about like, hey, just leave the sequels alone. They happen, leave them alone. I'm of a different mindset. I am in the mindset of make sure you get the right people involved. Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, maybe some other people. I think James Mangold is a brilliant person if you can get him involved, because he's so great. I think Taika Waititi actually could be really, really great too, even given his sort of sense of humor. I think he's a really accomplished filmmaker, so I think it could be really good. Regardless, get the right people involved. And instead of just ignore the sequel trilogy and pretend like it didn't happen, I kind of think lean into it. And I say that hating 8 and 9. I hated 8 and 9. But I hated 8 because it wasn't how I feel like some of those characters should have been treated. And then I've hated 9 because it pretended like 8 didn't exist. And you can't do that in a trilogy. You can't do that. You got to. So what I would like to see happen is, go for the Rey movie 15 years later and fix it. And then I'm trusting that Mando, maybe towards the end of the Mando run, maybe season 6, 7, 8, whatever, however long it goes, they might be able to fix the whole Snoke thing. The reason why Snoke sucks is because he wasn't explained. He wasn't ever a main character. But if they made maybe a show about him, or they had a big arc in Mando about Snoke and showed what a true badass he could be, I think they could fix him. And speaking of that, I think they can fix what they did to Luke too. The reason why we all hated Luke is because the reason why we hated Luke in episode 8, rather, is because we never got to see him be the Luke that we all always wanted to see after Return of the Jedi, right? But if they show that, if they maybe do a show, why can't I pick this up? Am I out of space? I am out of space. If they did a show that showed Luke being awesome, I'd love to see a Luke show. I think that would be absolutely a brilliant thing for them to do. Do a Luke show. If you want to recast or if you want to deep fake it, I almost don't care if the deep fake technology is there, fine. Or if you want to recast, everyone always says put Sebastian Stan in a wig and he looks exactly like Luke. Fine, whatever you want to do. But make a Luke, Han, and Leia show. Bring back Aiden Alderreich or something. I thought he was great in Solo. And I think the reason why it's still a little jarring to see Solo now is because he only got one movie where we saw Han Solo a whole bunch of times, played by Harrison Ford. So I think rather lean into it, give a trilogy movie where you got, Leia and Han and Luke maybe set in the Mando timeline, right? Like 5, 7, 8 years after, maybe, where Luke is like a total badass Jedi. That would be awesome. And then maybe go for it and show the part where Luke sort of betrayed Ben and where Ben turned evil. Show that, but earn it, right? Make it in the 3rd or 4th or 5th year of a show, or 3rd or 4th movie, or something like that. Earn that. Don't just show it in a quick flashback and be like, that's just the way it is, blah, blah, blah. No, you have to earn it. You got to show it. You got to pay your dues and show it. And I think that if they did that with the sequel trilogy, then I think whenever you go back and watch it, I think you could actually enjoy it. For example, episode 1, I have always hated episode 1. I've never liked episode 2, and episode 3 has been okay. I don't love it as much as a lot of people do, but I find that the reason why I don't love it is I find Anakin's turn to the dark side is just insanely abrupt, and I feel like they didn't earn that. However, episode 3 has aged really, really, really well, and that's because of the Clone Wars animated show. Because you got to see 7 seasons, right? 7, I think, of Anakin slowly turning, very slowly getting more aggressive, making some choices that maybe weren't the greatest choices, all that kind of stuff. And so then, whenever he turns now when you rewatch episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, then you think, oh, you know what? Hold on. I saw Anakin for 7 years start to slowly get more aggressive and all that kind of stuff, you know? And then episode 3 has aged well. I think it's possible to make episode 8 age well as well if you earn by showing Snoke where he came from. I would love to see a Snoke show. I think Andy Serkis is amazing. I think the technology is probably there to actually do in a 8 or 10 episode sort of show where you actually show Snoke coming to power, starting the First Order. Maybe have Palpatine. See, here's another thing, right? Palpatine showing up in episode 9, horrible, right? So weird and jarring and strange and weird choices. It was a weird choice, but if you show that over the course of a movie or a couple seasons of a show where Palpatine is controlling Snoke, then you go back and watch episode 9, I think that it's going to age a lot better because you're going to say, okay, Palpatine's back, but we've seen him in the shadows. We've seen him on Exegol really being in terrible health, and we've seen him sort of do that. You know, those actors are still with us. I think that doing something like that is going to really make those movies age a lot better than they currently are, where they're just weird and standalone and not very good. Anyway, that's my Star Wars thought. So I'm excited for the Rey movie. I hope that they treat it with the respect that Star Wars deserves. I hope they go in with a real plan. I hope it's not a rushed thing. I don't know how much time you need. I don't think it's necessarily that it's rushed. I just hope they go in with a plan. You know, I hope they say, okay, in the Rey movie, here's where it's got to start, and here's where we want to get to by the end for the next thing, rather than just like, yeah, just do whatever you want. See what happens. You know, I think that's where we got into a lot of trouble to begin with. Regardless, I'm going to keep on shearing sheep and building castles. I'll see you all next time for my next little chatty second channel episode. Bye, everybody.